What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Renegade Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. And tonight, we're going to be breaking down the 49ers schedule. Matt, how you doing this Friday evening?
Schedule dropped yesterday. Very interesting to kind of parse through that, kind of break it down a little bit. Think about it. Who's coming into town? Which games are we going to? You know, the whole rigmarole that every 49er fan goes through. So, I'm excited to break it down game by game. Let's jump into it, man.
Exactly, yeah. Before we get into it, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join there so we can see and interact with your comments. If you are tuning in through Twitter, we're not ignoring you. We just cannot see or interact with any of those comments. Head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. I've seen you guys before. Thanks for the contact. Not a lot there tonight. Thanks for tuning in, Paul. So, schedule's out. And just before we even get into it, I thought it was funny how the Chargers, even the Lions, had these like pretty funny, cool schedule release videos.
Dude, the Chargers anime one is hilarious.
It might be the best I've ever seen, honestly. Yeah. It was really good. And the 49ers have this like very serious and boring, I'm going to say boring video where, I don't know, it kind of missed the bar for me. I get what they were trying to do. It is what it is. I was hoping for a little more. Chargers continue to remain the best social media team of all NFL teams. Maybe the 49ers will get there next year. So we'll start off. We'll get right into this. It's a Friday evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. Hit like and subscribe while you're here. The 49ers, yet again, start off the season on the road in Chicago against Justin Fields and the Bears. Matt, how do you feel about this game?
Yeah, I think the NFL, and we all kind of know, right? The NFL's into storylines. There's still some unsettled business at the quarterback position for the 49ers. Here's the thing, though. Either way that it breaks with the 49ers works out well for the NFL. The 49ers travel to Chicago. If for whatever reason it's not Trey Lance, then Jimmy G, the hometown boy, gets to go back to Chicago and try to recreate some magic, particularly from the 2018 season. After the 49ers traded for him, he had that good game in Chicago. That kind of jump-started his whole 49ers career, jump-started the whole winning streak at the end of the season that got him his contract. If it's like we all suspect, and it's Trey Lance, then you have the natural built-in story, Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. Who's the better, second-year quarterback? Justin Fields got playing time. Trey Lance, not as much. But for me, it's like opening week, the NFL is going to be about storylines. It's why they did Seattle versus Denver. They tailor make their stuff for as many eyeballs as possible on the product for week one. This is another one of those games. But I like it for the 49ers, particularly if Trey Lance is starting, because the Bears are definitely a rebuilding team. If Trey Lance had to start his, NFL starting quarterback career on the road week one, I couldn't think of a better place to do it than Chicago. The weather's not really going to be an issue in September. You're looking at a team in the Bears that, again, definitely rebuilding, definitely trying to get, Justin Fields some weapons. There's not a lot there. It's a very winnable game for the 49ers, provided that they come out and do the things that we expect them to do. And Trey Lance comes out and just, you don't have to light the world on fire. Just be slightly better than Jimmy G. Week one, hell, just be close to Jimmy G. And it's a dub for the 49ers.
Yeah, it's definitely all about the storylines. You can tell. And it's funny because just sitting here now, I got flashbacks to last offseason when we talked about that Halloween game against the Bears, where we all were envisioning Trey Lance likely taking over by then. It's not quite what happened. He definitely didn't take over, but it wasn't due to his own performance or anything like that. I am really excited to see how this shapes out week one, because we're going to find out just how much Trey Lance has progressed this offseason. And we've seen him holding these private workouts with Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, not Deebo Samuel, of course, but that's going to be a big storyline going into the season. Like you said, if some crazy thing happens, Jimmy Garoppolo is still starting, then he does return to his hometown. I don't think it's going to happen. I know I saw Richard Sherman recently came out saying the 49ers will carry him through at least camp. I don't know. I still have a hard time seeing it, but I guess we'll see. The Bears have just been, we've been talking about this in our group chat. The new coaching staff, do they not want Justin Fields? It's very weird how little they've done to surround him
They're
with
not
talent.
doing him any favors. The minute that they hired Matt Eberflus, I was like, all right, they don't care about Justin Fields at all.
Yeah.
You would think that, you would go out and push hard for somebody like Brian Dable or somebody like that, right? Dable ends up going to the Giants and he's going to try to salvage Daniel Jones' career. But I mean, Justin Fields, second-year guy underneath, Matt Nagy, who for whatever it's worth, it's just looked like he was struggling to put an offense together. Didn't know how to scheme for Justin Fields, kind of threw him out there. And it's one of those things where, Joey Arredondo says it, Joey says it in the chat the best. Bears loading up with the Pettit signing. When one of your big signings is you're showing on your Twitter and you're proud of signing somebody like Dante Pettis, who washed out here very quickly, it's not a good look for your franchise. They let a bunch of key offensive linemen walk. Allen Robinson is gone. It's a bare cupboard on offense for the Bears. And I feel for Justin Fields because I really liked him coming out of the draft last year. He already looked like he was in over his head last year. I can't imagine that it's going to get much better considering the coaching staff that Chicago put there for him. It's really unfortunate. I think that circumstance is going to kill Justin Fields' NFL career, and it sucks.
I mean, their best players, Darnell Mooney, who's a solid player, but he shouldn't be, in my opinion, any team's best player. So we'll see how that shapes out. But I like the 49ers' chances starting off the season with a win. It kind of reminds me last year starting off in Detroit, maybe not to that extent, because Justin Fields can bring some added elements with his legs that Jared Goff probably couldn't. But I'm getting that same kind of feeling to where it's just a really young, unproven team, young head coach as well. Week 2, the 49ers have their home opener, of course, against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And this is a different Seahawks team, Matt.
It's not your mom and pop's Seahawks team. I immediately saw this come out as the home opener, and I immediately lost interest in attending the home opener. This was not what I was hoping for. You want the home opener, you want to come out with, a big bang or whatever, and this was just kind of a whimper. Drew Lock doesn't do it for me. I think it's very ironic that the Seattle Seahawks finally took a first-round left tackle after they shipped Russell Wilson out of town. Bobby Wagner's gone. Like, what's left? People say, oh, Jamal Adams, trash. Let's be real. Box safety, nothing else. I said it in the chat, and I firmly believe this. This team has like 4-13 written all over it. The fact that Pete Carroll is still here at his age for an obvious rebuilding project is baffling to me. I think that Pete is really just a placeholder. I think that they're really trying to wait out till 2023. They're going to let it rock with Drew Lock. And between now and then, okay, things could change if Baker Mayfield goes there. That makes them a little bit more competitive or whatever, because the Browns are going to end up having to cut him. I think that the NFL is like, dude, we're pissed off at the Deshaun Watson deal that is fully guaranteed. We're not going to do you any favors by trading for him or paying for any of his contract. You're going to have to cut him. If that's the case, I think he could end up in Seattle. If not, they're going to let it rock with Drew Lock, and I don't think that's a good move for them. This is a bad team, man. On paper, it's just a terrible team. They had a pretty good draft on paper, but you look around them and it's like, okay, DK Metcalf, but who gives a shit because Drew Lock can't hit the broadside of a barn apparently and cares more about dancing than quarterbacking. I just don't think that it's not exciting. You want the home opener to be a competitive game. We've had some pretty sweet home openers. I know we went in 2019 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was pretty dope. On paper before the season, that seemed like a good matchup. Unfortunately, Big Ben blew out his elbow, so he wasn't there. It still ended up being a hell of a game, and that could be the case, but I look at it and I'm like, I'm not that excited.
All right, so I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, and I agree with Paul here. after the massive losses to the Russell-led Seahawks, I will enjoy a good win. I got the vibe off of this. This is like a high school homecoming game.
Yeah.
Schedule
Listen,
a good
I'm
beating
not
against
disagreeing
the
with that.
rival.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But if I'm gonna pay hard money and pay for a flight and pay for hotels, this is not the game I'm picking. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I definitely
as a local,
hear you.
like if I was local like you, for sure, dude, I'd be there. Right? It's going to be one of the more affordable games because even the 49ers know, dude, Seahawks are dog shit. So we'll charge a little less for these tickets or whatever as a local boy. But me coming from Southern California, I can make, 2-3 trips per year. That's not the trip I'm making.
No, if I were you, I definitely wouldn't go to that game. It's just not worth it. But I think they were like waiting for Russ to finally leave. And now that he's gone, first chance we get, we're playing Seattle at home. I mean, granted, last year, I believe they opened it up with Seattle at home week 3, if I remember correctly. Didn't pan out too well, but still, I'm excited to just see them beat the brakes off of them because for so long, the 49ers could not get anything up over the Russell Wilson-led Seahawks, aside from that 1 week 17 game that we will always hold against them.
Right. But I maintain that Russell's the boogeyman and not the Seattle Seahawks.
100%.
And for the people that are like, people are saying like, oh, Seattle's our rival. I don't think Seattle's our rival. I've never thought that Seattle was our rival. Seattle with Russ beat the crap out of us every year. Every year they beat the crap out of us. I don't consider that a rivalry when you lose all the time. Now the tables turned. Does anyone see? And I'm a little bit older, so I remember before Russ. I know a lot of you youngins don't remember before Russ because y'all were crawling around in diapers and stuff. That's cool. I got you. But there was like a 2-year period where it was like, oh, Matt Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander. Oh, they were pretty good. But beyond that and beyond this Russ years, the Seattle Seahawks have been one of the most irrelevant franchises in the history of the NFL. I bet most of you don't even know they used to be in the AFC West, not the NFC West. And they switched them when they realigned in 2002 with the addition of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Carolina Panthers. And they realigned all the divisions, stuff like that. Dude, they used to be in the AFC. They always sucked. They're going to suck again. Right? Like, yeah, most people don't know that Mike Holmgren was their coach after he coached the Packers. It's one of those things where, cool, man, you're back to irrelevance, and it's not a rivalry anymore. I would consider the 49ers historical rival to be the LA Rams. And I still maintain that because that's a decades-long rivalry, not a Johnny-come-lately. Okay, the Seahawks had a couple of years of good success where they threw a dart that hit the dartboard of Russell Wilson. Because think about their other quarterbacks, right? Oh, they brought in Matt Flynn. They brought in Tarvarius Jackson. They brought in this guy. They brought in that guy. After Matt Hasselbeck left, who they have, right? Like you're looking around and it's just garbage. You get Russell Wilson. And then they just trade him away and keep Pete Carroll rather than placate to your star quarterback and get him some help. This is a trash franchise with trash ownership that got lightning in a bottle. And now that their 15 minutes of fame are up, go back to irrelevance for the next 30 years. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. They won the lottery with Russell Wilson. Like you said, they had just signed Matt Flynn to a $30 million contract, and that was in like 2010, if I remember correctly. He had those 2 good like preseason games or some shit like that.
He had a good game as the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, where they had clinched the playoffs. And
Seneca Wallace.
Aaron Rodgers sat out, and Matt Flynn took over and threw he had like a 5 or a 6 touchdown game.
Yeah, record breaking.
27 million off of the back of that. And Seattle also just threw a dart, hit Russell Wilson in I believe the 4th round or the third round. Russell Wilson, who was at NC State and then transferred to Wisconsin. So you're talking about like I think a 5th-year senior transfer, right? Coming out, they pick him in the 3rd round. And then your $27 million quarterback, which back when they paid Matt Flynn $27 million was not just a drop in the bucket. That was serious quarterback money. That was starter money. And then Matt Flynn didn't even start a game for them. So, and you look at their drafts historically as like we've talked about before, the further Pete Carroll got away from NCAA football, the worse his drafts got. John Schneider is a trash GM. He's made poor decisions. Look at the Jamal Adams trade. Look at the other trades that he's made. The amount of money that he's sunk into positions that didn't really matter versus positions that do. I mean, you're telling me 2 first-round picks for a Jamal Adams while you can't even draft or trade or sign a left tackle for Russell Wilson other than aging Russell Okung, who was like dope back in the day when he was in Denver, but aged out and wasn't that great, and they went the bargain basement route. And then the minute Russell Wilson leaves, what's the first fucking pick you make? Left tackle. And we were watching the draft, and it's on the draft show, and I said, I'm going to laugh if they pick a left tackle right now. That would be the most bitter flip off to Russell Wilson that you could think of, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So
it's, I mean, obviously it's too late. Russell Wilson's gone, but it's like, if you would have done any of this, I mean, I remember the stories coming out where he wanted more control, and they said, okay, we'll take your consideration when we make our draft selections. We'll give you a little more power in the draft room. And then they basically just said, all right, thanks for sharing, Russ. Hey, so let's take that running back. We really like that Rashad Penny guy.
Rashad Penny. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. I agree. We'll wrap it up. We'll go on to week 3. I want to see a nice beatdown because I've seen too many games the 49ers should have won against this team previously lose. Now they're a different team. Now they're going to be basement of the NFC West team, and I'm ready for it.
And if the 49ers come out like they should and Trey Lance is, popping, ready to go, I mean, this is a 2-touchdown victory, and it's not even a particularly interesting game. This to me has the makings of like a 34-17 game.
Not Niner by nature, 88. We're week 2. We're going to go to week 3 right now. So I think we both agree the 49ers are 2-0 at this point if they play like we expect them to. Week 3, they go back on the road. Speaking of
Boogeyman,
Russell Wilson, they see him again at Denver, and this is a Sunday night football game. 49ers first primetime, one of the maximum allowed 5 primetime games of the year. Sunday night football. Russell Wilson can't escape him. No. How do you feel about this game?
I think this is the first one the 49ers drop. I think, especially if Trey Lance is starting, I think it's a big ask on the road, Mile High, Sunday night football. Big matchup. You have the specter of Russell Wilson, who has owned the 49ers, now on a new team. He's going to be hyped and motivated to play the best that he can. Denver is, I know a lot of people just overlook Denver, but Denver has a pretty stacked roster. Their roster is pretty nice. And you're talking night game at altitude.
They almost made the playoffs last year.
Right.
If it wasn't for a shitty quarterback.
And Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you put Russell Wilson there, and you're looking at a team that could take a leap. I don't necessarily think that they're immediately Super Bowl contenders. I don't want to, overstate things. But I think this is the tough matchup for the 49ers, I feel like, in the first half of the season, minus week 4, which we'll talk about too. This is one of the hardest games they have. It's actually kind of interesting, though. I think week 3 and week 4 are tough, but outside of that, I think the first, 6-7 weeks, the first 6 weeks of the season breaks really Trey Lance's way and sets up really well for Trey Lance. Bad teams, whatever. But I think Denver, with the former quarterback coach of the Packers, offensive-minded coach, getting with Russell Wilson, you still have Jerry Jeudy, who, despite whatever the legal trouble was, it wasn't that serious. He's definitely going to play. And then you have the returning Cortland Sutton, which people forget about. I mean, this team is a stacked offensive team. And this one I think is going to be tough. And if I was going to peg them for a loss early in the season, I think it would be this one, by virtue of it being primetime and on the road. It's a lot to ask of Trey Lance.
So I hear you out, and I do think it's going to be difficult for the 49ers. I think they win this one. And obviously this is way too early predictions for
Zach,
us.
17-0. That's what Zach's prediction is.
Yeah, 20-0. We're sitting here in May, but I think this is a winnable game for the 49ers. They added talent at the secondary, started level talent at the secondary. They will have, hopefully, all goes well, 3 linebackers that are very solid, added some more depth to the defensive line, added Drake Jackson, re-signed Kerry Hyder. And on the offensive side, the biggest thing was always, can they put up enough points? Can the quarterback not make a giant boneheaded mistake at the worst time? And I'm not saying that Trey Lance won't make these mistakes because he's extremely young and he likely will. However, I think the big playability is just so much more so there than with Jimmy Garoppolo that he can maybe overcome these mistakes a lot easier. And I don't know. I have a feeling they win this game, and the story is going to be Trey Lance did what Jimmy Garoppolo could only do once, beat Russell Wilson. And now in Russell Wilson's house in Denver, I know it's not Seattle, but still went into Russell Wilson's home, got the win, and moving on. I could see it. Just Sunday Night Football, something about that I think brings it out in Trey Lance. But that's me being the optimistic fan. I mean, you could tell I'm
no, I mean, I totally get it. Again, I just think, some of the factors are just it being a road game for his first primetime game. When he played last year, listen, it's different when it's nighttime, the lights are on you. That's heavy pressure, particularly with that NBC crew. That's tough, man. That's tough. And,
did you see Maria Taylor got hired?
What's that?
Maria Taylor, sorry to cut you off. Maria Taylor got hired by Sunday Night Football.
Oh, good for them.
Solid addition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big ask of Trey Lance. But I think that the trials and tribulations that he goes through for that Sunday night game are going to help him for week 4, which we can move on to week 4. I'm pegging that as a 49ers victory. Super Bowl hangover for the Rams. Monday Night Football. Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, new ESPN Monday Night Football team calling the game. Our ears may be bleeding, but our hearts will be singing for the 49ers. I think that they wax LA on Monday Night Football.
So you now have them 3-1. I have them 3-0 going into week 4. And I agree. I think they get this win. And again, similar to week 3, I think in week 4, all of the talk on Twitter is going to be, would we have beaten the Rams in the championship game had we started Trey Lance? This division between the fans is only going to get more intense. We were already seeing it, but I do think it's going to continue as the season goes on, even though there's nothing you can do about the past. I mean, let's be honest. Who knows? They would have won or lost that game. But I think that the 49ers have this revenge, obviously, against the Rams. And it's at home. It's a Monday night game. They get the extra day to rest and prepare for the game. I think they take care of business. And I think Kyle Shanahan socks it to his good friend in Sean McVay. So I have 4-0. You have 3-1. And that's going to be a hell of a game, by the way. I'm surprised. I saw a lot of people, like these bigger accounts, Bleacher Report, the Game Day, et cetera, tweeting out like their top games of the year. I don't know how this one's not included. I don't know. It's a Monday night game, rematch of the championship game. Yeah, there's a different quarterback under center, but if anything, that should make it more exciting. So 4-0, or excuse me. Yeah, 4-0, 3-1. Okay. Yep. Moving on to week 5. They're heading to the Carolina Panthers. Our guy Dylan's favorite team.
Carolina sucks.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to happen. Week 5 is going to roll around. The 49ers are going to be humming along. Like I said, 3-1. They're going to walk into that stadium. Sam Darnold's going to be under center for them. Disaster. Christian McCaffrey's going to be on IR to return with like a calf strain. Robbie Anderson's going to be baked out back. Not catching passes. Carolina sucks. 49ers victory. Not a lot to say here.
Paul Sanders says it's not listed because the Rams are 0-6 in regular season games against us. Solid. I like it, Paul. As far as this game against the Panthers, maybe they play Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know how this shapes out. Panthers apparently haven't shut the door on Baker Mayfield. Could they make a move and get a Jimmy Garoppolo?
Doesn't matter. The rest of the team sucks.
Yeah, I agree. Niner by Nature says, Carolina, man, that's going to be a tough one. The Panthers defense is solid.
Every solid defense turns into jello when the offense can't score.
Yeah, I agree. Sam Darnold just ain't it. I had some hope for him.
No,
I don't think he's the
trash.
deal. Christian McCaffrey likely won't even be healthy. I don't even know what his health is right now. I just have a feeling he won't be healthy then because he never is. So 5-0 for me, 4-1 for you. Yep. Week 6, they stay on the road, stay in the South. And this is an early game against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, playing Marcus Mariota. How you feel?
Trap game.
Okay.
Trap game. I think they come out sluggish on the road. Second East Coast game in a row. I don't know if they're going to stay in Virginia like they have before. But this is a trap game. I think that they're going to drop this one in a close one, in a sloppy game that we all go, what the fuck is going on with these guys? They typically have one of these a season. I think this is the one. If Marcus Mariota is still playing, they still struggle with mobile quarterbacks. It's going to be the one that gets away from them because I think that they're going from Carolina and overlooking Atlanta to next week with Kansas City coming to town, getting back home. This is the one I just think they drop.
It's so funny. I had that exact same thing written down, just looking forward to Kansas City. They have a really tough stretch right after this game. And if you remember a couple of years back, the Super Bowl year, they dropped that game to Atlanta at home because something similar. Different team, I totally understand, but I'm just showing that it does happen in these situations. And back-to-back road games, young quarterback, early game. There's the, West Coast teams moving east. They don't historically play as well earlier in the day. I think they lose this one as well. And I think they lose it in a close one. So I'm going 5-1. We both have them as 5-1 now. This, in my opinion, is the toughest stretch of the season, the next 5 weeks right here. So after that, they come back home to
just real quick, by the way, I have them 4-2.
4-2. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. 4-2, 5-1. Okay. So they come back home to Kansas City, which is a normal 125 kickoff game. This has got to be a tough game. I mean,
I'm predicting 49ers in a cakewalk.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
You can't just give away Tyreek Hill and just say, nah, we're cool. Prove it to me. That you can give away somebody like Tyreek Hill and just be like, nah, we're good. Kansas City's schedule ahead of time is really hard, right? They're going to have some tough games. You're going to be depending on like Pringle and Mecole Hardman, whatever to get you through it. Travis Kelce's getting up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he has an injury this year. Their running back situation, still garbage. Offensive line, fine. Defensive line, meh. I'm not feeling Kansas City anymore. And the more that I watch, man, people are going to hate this, but the more that I watch Patrick Mahomes, the less that I think of him.
Okay.
He's very off schedule, and I think that he's gotten away with it his first couple of years because of the overwhelming talent surrounding him. But as that talent starts fading away, as his contract kicks in and is more dollars and more dollars and more dollars, I think that he's going to get worse. People will point out when they played Tampa Bay and he scrambled around for like 8 seconds and threw a touchdown in the back of the end zone. But the fact that he had to take 8 seconds to find somebody open just speaks to the fact that there's a real disconnect. I think that he is living off of his physical talent and that his decision-making is a little suspect.
Okay. I could see it. I agree with Joey though. I get it, but I just can't count out Mahomes. I don't know.
I watched that drive against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I watched it, and I just watched Patrick Mahomes meltdown and look terrible. I mean, that drive against Kansas City where they picked him off at the end, he looked horrendous.
Yeah, he did look pretty bad.
He looked pretty bad.
So they did trade away, obviously, Tyreek Hill, but they also signed Juju Smith-Schuster, Valdez-Scantling. They drafted Sky Moore. They signed
again
drafted free agent Justin Ross.
Nobody was.
I don't think these are necessarily all pro talent receivers, but I just think them with the ability of a Patrick Mahomes can still put up points. So I won't say a cakewalk quite.
I'll counter you with Tyreek Hill blew the top off of defense in a way that opened things up for those underneath receivers, particularly Travis Kelce. And if I'm opposing defenses, I'm taking away Kelce and making the other guys prove it.
Okay.
Plain and simple, because nobody's going to knock anybody's dick in the dirt on that offense other than Travis Kelce. And if you bottle him up over the middle and you force Mecole Hardman and these other non-route running middle of the road, okay, but not great wide receivers, as opposed to Tyreek Hill, who is a superstar, then you're going to get a Kansas City offense that's just, milk toast, coming back to the pack. And we've seen that, when Mahomes won the MVP, everybody was like, dude, this is the Chiefs dynasty. This is the Chiefs dynasty. If not for an errant Jimmy Garoppolo pass, the Chiefs would have no world championships. There is no dynasty, right? They played Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl and got embarrassed 31-9. Before the 49ers offense sputtered, the 49ers held them to 10 points through 3 quarters. I mean, listen, this offense is not as impressive as people think. Patrick Mahomes is not as impressive as people think. Sorry about it. It's just true. I think teams are figuring it out, and I think that without the all-pro talent around Patrick Mahomes, that he's going to fall back to earth even more than he already has.
Okay. I like it. So I'm going to say not a cakewalk, but a win.
Okay, so you have them 6-1. I have them 5-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So moving forward, week 8. This is another tough game. They travel to LA, take on the Rams. Week 4, and then again in week 8 in LA. This is a normal Sunday 1:25 kickoff game. How do you feel about this game?
Whose house? 49ers house. 6-2.
Wow, that's it. So you think they sweep them?
Yep.
Okay.
Like they have the last 3 years. Playoffs notwithstanding, and a Jimmy Garoppolo pirouette interception notwithstanding.
Okay.
I don't think. Listen, it's well known that Kyle Shanahan is the genius of the group, right? Sean McVay is the playboy of the group, the forward-facing, very charismatic member of the group, and Matt LaFleur is like somewhere in the middle. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Even Sean McVay will tell you Kyle Shanahan is like a genius amongst geniuses. And we're getting to the point at week 8 where Trey Lance is just going to be cooking. At this point, he's going to be cooking. So, barring any injuries, and of course, this is all caveat when we're doing this schedule, 49ers and every single opponent, no injuries, right? Minus Carolina, who's Christian McCaffrey is definitely going to pull his Achilles in like week 2. But, it's one of those situations where it's happened in the last 3 years. I think they're going to do it again. I just don't trust the Rams, man. No OBJ, right? Cooper Kupp, he's going to be a focus of defenses. I'm not scared of Allen Robinson. I'm really not. After spending a couple years in Chicago, he probably forgot how to be like an actual productive wide receiver. So it's one of those where I just, Whitworth retired. Who do they replace him with? They got some players, but it's, everybody else is aging. Again, Aaron Donald, a year older. I'm still waiting for that hat to drop on Aaron Donald. He's going to get hurt at some point. Which year does he get hurt? He's now entering his age, I believe, 31 season. And he's a beast, dude. He's so good. But at some point or another, it's not sustainable what the Rams are doing. The Rams took the win now approach. They won last year. Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. There's a reason why a lot of teams that win the Super Bowl don't perform as well. And the way that the Rams have structured their team from a top-down perspective, I don't think is sustainable. And I don't think that they're going to do as well next year. Plain and simple.
Okay. I think they lose this one. I don't know. Young quarterback on the road, division game. You just got over playing the Chiefs. You're looking forward to a bye week, but then the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Saints. I think they lose this one. I think they split with the Rams this year. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know. I think they split with the Rams this year. Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, still a lot of talent. I think it's a close loss. So then they go into their bye week, week 9, get healthy, hopefully. And then
Can I just say,
yes.
what an awesome break to have their bye week smack dab in the middle of the season.
Right.
To me, that's like such a good place to have your bye week. Right in the middle, not too early, not too late. Dog.
Yeah. I love it. It really is perfect. So week 10, they return from their bye week and they have a Sunday night matchup with the Chargers. Hell of a matchup. Justin Herbert comes to town. How do you feel about this game?
This one's going to be a tough one because the Chargers like loaded up. I feel like they're doing the Rams model of like trying to win now.
Yeah.
Herbert, again, you're 3 for him. Khalil Mack, you got a lot of other pieces coming in. You still have a really good wide receiver core in Mike Williams and Allen. And they're just getting better and better. And it's one of those things where, the 49ers are going to run up against these teams that they might be better defensively than these teams, but I believe the 49ers are going to be near a top 10 offense. But for me, the Chargers are going to be like a top 5 offense in the NFL. And in this new era of the NFL, I feel like great offense beats great defense just because of the way the rules are structured, the way that if your offense isn't cooking, then you're not getting the same opportunities that the other team is. It's really quick, and we've seen it. Again, we talked about Kansas City earlier, but in the past, Kansas City, we saw it, right? You're down 28-0 to the Titans in the playoffs, and it takes 3 possessions, and all of a sudden, oh shit, they're knocking on the door. And then 2 more possessions is like, well, they're ahead of us, and it's one of those things you can't. There are teams where, and we've seen it with the 49ers in the past, we know 49ers down 3 touchdowns is going to be a rough one to come back, right? It's going to take everything that they have. And they had one of those against the Rams last year in the last game of the season, week 18. But it's not the norm, right? For a team like the Chargers, man, the only way to stop that offense really is for the clock to run out of time. And so that's going to be really difficult for the 49ers to deal with. I know that the secondary is going to be improved. I know the pass rush is still there. But the Chargers have been beefing up that O-line. The Chargers still have those wide receivers. I'm not in love with their running backs. I think Austin Eckler gets hurt too much. And I don't think that they have much behind him. But especially if like Khalil Mack and Derwin James can stay healthy, they have a really good defense to pair with an elite offense. And I think that's going to be a really challenging game for the 49ers.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I think they lose this one. We saw the Chargers, though, last season. Obviously, they missed the playoffs. Dropped some head scratchers. They lost a beatdown to the Texans. I think this is going to be a different team. I think Justin Herbert, another year into, granted, they got a new head coach this offseason, right? Or was it last year that they get a new head coach? Do you remember?
Last year.
Okay. So year 2 into the system.
Yeah. Who's their coach? Brandon Staley, who loves to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
That dude is like analytics city. I think he like fake punted from like the 38-yard line on like 4th and 9 one time. I don't know.
I'll never forget
probably not accurate, but I mean, it's kind of the gist, right?
Yeah. I'll never forget that. I think it was a Monday night game or a Sunday night game against the Raiders last year, where if they tied, both got into the playoffs. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was insane. I've never seen a team convert on so many 4th down plays and then get a touchdown out of it. That drive.
Yeah.
And they
But
end up
then,
losing.
screw it up by calling a timeout against the
Yeah.
Raiders. We're probably going to let the clock run out.
Yeah.
And they decided to go for it and win. Yeah, just I know, baffling. I don't understand the analytics behind it. It doesn't make any sense, but they're going to do it, and I think that's going to be a loss for the 49ers as well.
I agree. Also, Bosa against Bosa is going to be cool to see. Rashawn Slater, I guess I more correctly said, against Bosa will be cool to see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that
Matter
shapes
by
up.
nature, we mentioned Khalil Mack. That's a big one. I said if Mack and Derwin James can stay healthy alongside of Joey Bosa, like that's a sick defense, dude.
Not to mention Asante Samuel Jr. They signed J.C. Jackson.
God, Asante Samuel Jr. Good Lord, man.
We
wanted him so bad last year, and he's so good.
They got a good group going there.
They got a great group.
AFC West
honestly,
is
the Chargers to me are legit Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. They got to make it out of their division, which isn't easy.
No, that division is really tough, but on
they got
paper,
a good shot.
They have the best roster.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we both have them losing this one. Is that for you?
I think we're the same.
8-2?
6-3.
6-3. Okay.
I think we both have them 6-3.
That's right. Because the bye week's right there. Okay.
6-3.
So then the next week, they get an extra day of rest, and they take on the Cardinals in the desert on Monday Night Football.
No, Mexico City.
Oh, you're right. Mexico City.
49ers home game. Because Mexico City is going to show out for the 49ers. Don't get it twisted. Mexico City doesn't give a shit about the Arizona Cardinals. They're gonna pimp out for the 49ers for sure. That one's another one that's even at more altitude. So people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but Mexico City is even higher altitude than Denver. Mexico City is like plus 9,000 feet, dude.
Shit.
It's insane. Yeah. Super, super high altitude. I just feel like this is the late season Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury second half collapse. And I feel like the 49ers are going to take this one. I'm not scared of Arizona at all this year. And I don't give a shit if DeAndre Hopkins is back for this game or not.
I thought it was funny that, of course, he gets suspended for 6 games. And the 49ers play the Cardinals well after those first six games. Like, all right, I guess it is what it is. Last season, they played them twice within like the first 8-9 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So,
but no Charizard to lock them up. So
that's true. I'm not afraid of the Cardinals this season. They will be tough. They lost one of their top receivers.
This is the Rams and 49ers division to battle out.
I agree. Yeah. And the Cardinals will probably be third. I just don't trust. I can't trust Kingsbury. I can't trust Kyler. They seem immature to me.
Yep.
I still get that vibe from them. Okay, so we have them winning this game. So 7-3. So then moving on, they come back home to a home game 125 kickoff against the Saints.
Listen, I know that the 49ers traditionally San Francisco, right? Fisherman's Wharf. You know where I'm going with this. I'm going to make the joke. I don't care. It's an old joke. I don't give a shit. Santa Clara doesn't have any crabs for Jameis Winston to steal other than the rats that hang outside the team hotels. So 49ers victory. I have 8-3 at this point.
Okay. Saints did just sign Jarvis Landry. They drafted Chris Olave. They got something going there. They re-signed.
They do. Michael Thomas coming back from injury, but we'll see what they do with him.
Michael Thomas, my GOAT, Jameis Winston is back, which I thought was a very smart move for them. He played well last season before he went down with that injury. Saints, all those weapons just to tackle whoever picks off Winston.
Yep.
That's funny. I don't know. I kind of want to agree with Niner by Nature on this one, them beating us. It just seems
not
like
in our house. If this was in New Orleans, I'd say maybe, but not.
Okay, that's a good point. They play tough in the Superdome. So
yeah, this is the first. Well, technically speaking, I mean, if you count Mexico City as a home game, this is 5 straight home games for the 49ers, dude. Like, starting with the Chargers, Mexico City, and then 3 straight at Levi's. I'm not believing in New Orleans.
Okay. Maybe I'll change my mind, but for now, I'm going to agree with you. Week 13, they stay at home, like you said, and they take on the Miami Dolphins.
Yep. Shout outs to my wife. I love her to death. Tua sucks.
Yeah.
So,
I don't care how many receivers
you got 50 caliber bullets firing out of a pop gun. So Tyreek Hill, the kid from Alabama. I'm blanking on his name right now. Jalen Waddle. Right. Good weapons. Things to go off of, but Tua's busted. They showed a video. They dead ass showed a video from like the OTAs or whatever with Tua, and he's in like a fisherman's hat, right? Like they're in airs, shorts and airs. And Tua throws like, it's like first look at Tua to Cheetah or whatever. And Tua throws a deep ball, and Tyreek Hill dead ass has to stop and wait for the ball to get there. And I'm like, this looks terrible.
I saw it, and I'm like, this is their own PR. This is their own team put this out.
The team put that out, and they were like, look how cool this is. And it's like, dude, that's so bad.
Yeah.
That's so bad. And honestly, I maybe they get through training camp, and they're like, hey, San Francisco, can you just send us Jimmy Garoppolo? We'll send you like whatever you want. Because I think Tua is that bad. I didn't like him coming out of Alabama. I thought he was injury prone. I didn't think that he was that good. I think it's really weird that his dad made him become left-handed. Still to this day, I'm just like, I don't understand turning a natural right-hander into a left-hander just because you think lefties are more exotic, so he'll get more looks. Like, that is so bizarre to me. And
I
still,
did not
when
know
he
that.
throws and his right hand is like, he does like the okay sign with his hand. It's like all clenched up like a claw. It looks so weird. I hate it so much. So I don't believe in anything Miami. Miami's been a garbage organization since Dan Marino left. I love my wife to death, but her team sucks.
Agreed. That's an easy win.
Easy win.
Now, tough game. Stay at home, host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for another 125 kickoff.
I think we're going to go to this one.
Yep. That's what it's looking like.
This is the responsible one. I know we talked about Dolphins 49ers, but I think it's responsible to see Tom Brady before he retires. Play live. I need to do that. I'm dating myself here, but I saw Michael Jordan play live for the Bulls. So I think that's something like there are levels to this game, and you want to see the best players play. And I just think that, man, I kind of got to see Tom Brady before he leaves. I think that would be the most responsible things.
I think we're going to see a loss.
Yep.
You agree?
Yeah, I think that there's – listen, if anybody has enough of the red ass to take out the 49ers, it's Tom Brady, dude.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
This 49ers team just doesn't want him.
Yep.
And I disagree with Paul Sanders that Tom Brady's not the fake GOAT. He's like the GOAT. He's like the real GOAT, dude. Go watch Man in the Arena and tell me that dude ain't a fucking psycho.
You got to give it to him at this point. A couple of Super Bowls ago.
He says, I hope my kids don't turn out like me because I got a fucking problem.
Yeah. All right. So what are we at? Week 14 with a bye, 13. Are we 9-4, I believe?
Week 15. 49ers at Seattle. I think I have them. What? I think I have them 10-3.
10-3. Okay.
No. I have them 9-4 with the loss to Tampa Bay. Yeah, 9-4.
Okay. So then they head to Seattle. This is a Thursday night game, short week.
Yeah. This one's a tough one for me.
Trap game.
This was a division game where I feel like they could drop 2 in a row. And I'm going to predict that they drop 2 in a row. I think that it's a tough task to come off such of an emotionally charged and we know what 125 is, right? That's the Fox game of the week. That's America's game of the week.
This is Thursday, isn't it?
No. The Tampa Bay game
Oh, you're right. You're right.
is America's game of the week.
Yeah.
So that's like a big game. That's a big time slot for them. And Tampa is gonna come out, and I think that Tom's gonna play well. By the way, speaking of America's game of the week, dude, it's wild to me that Fox is giving Tom Brady 10 years, $375 million to be a broadcaster. That's nuts, dude. That's nuts. But that being said, I think that coming off of that and going Thursday night football, which, dude, Thursday night football is busted anyway. Those games are so unpredictable. Those games, like, how many times have we seen good teams lose Thursday night football against bad teams because it's Thursday night and maybe the body clock is weird. Some team has to travel, which
ridiculous injuries.
Right. And it's not an East Coast trip. It's just up the coastline. But still, you never know. And so I think it's hard. I can't sit here and pick the 49ers to go 6-0 in the division. I just don't think that's really a feasible thing. I think they own the Rams in the regular season. I think the Rams are going to be a Super Bowl hangover, but I think that there's room for. I think they're going to finish 5-1 in the division. I'm tipping my hand for later, but maybe 4-2. It depends on how good the 49ers are and whether they have something to play for or not. That's going to be the deciding factor for that last game. But for this one, I think it's a tough ask to come off of a huge game like maybe Tom Brady's last appearance in San Francisco as a kid who grew up loving the 49ers, idolizing Joe Montana, and then going to Seattle for a divisional game, if not a rivalry game like everybody wants to claim it is. It's still a division game, and division games are tough. I think it's a tough ask, and I think the 49ers fall to 9-5 here.
I think they win it. Buck Seattle. I think they win this game. I have them sweeping Seattle for the first time in I don't even know how long.
They win in Seattle for the first time since 2019 when Dre Greenlaw makes a stop.
Yep. I think they do it. And I think Seattle, regardless of who's under center, is not good enough to make this a trap game for the 49ers. I don't see it. They could win this game 9-3. Buck Seattle. I don't see it. I just can't see it. I think the next game, though, I'm going to say that's the trap game to me. And that's at Washington. No. That's at home on Christmas Eve against Washington Commies.
Washington, man, that's a weird one, right? Because Washington, don't know what you're getting. I mean, you're getting a crappy name with the Commanders. You know that. Man, I got this 49ers victory, 10-5. 10-5. I don't believe in Washington. Chase Young is a doofus. I'm waiting for the comments to come in for that one. No, Chase Young's good, but I don't know, man. There's something weird. The Washington franchise, it's like that character from the Peanuts. Or no, sorry. It's like Eeyore from fucking Winnie the Pooh. They just constantly have a rain cloud over their head. Right? And I don't know, man. 49ers typically do well against Washington. I think that stays the same.
I think they lose this one. I think they have 5 straight weeks of tough games. Maybe 3, maybe not Miami and New Orleans so much, but Tampa, a Thursday night game against the Seattle Seahawks. But then again, they have 9 days to rest before this game. I still think they lose it in a tough one and a close one. Christmas Eve, they spoil Christmas for everyone. There's the comments. Paul's wondering.
Why do you say Chase Young is a doofus? Just wondering. Man, he gets like weird, funky penalties sometimes where you're just like, why did you do that, man? That made no sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about him that I'm just like, he plays weirdly. I think he plays below his potential a lot of times. And I think it's an effort thing. And I think that like sometimes he's just a little too cool for school. So if you're too cool for school, for me, you're kind of a doofus.
I wonder what he'd be like on a contender where he wouldn't mail it in.
And that could be part of it too. Like I know a lot of players like You know, the joke coming out of the draft is that Sauce Gardner was trying to run out of the arena because he didn't want to play for the Jets.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's part of my Niner by nature hit it up too. I think that's part of my anti-Chase Young sentiment is because coming out of college, people are like, oh, he's better than Nick Bosa. And I watched them both play and I'm like, he's clearly not better than Nick Bosa.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to, okay, so you have them as a win on that, and you have them 12, 11, and 4.
Yeah.
And I have them as a loss on that, and I have them
they lose this next game.
10 and 5. Okay. Week 17.
I think they lose against Las Vegas in Las Vegas.
New Year's Day.
Because here's why, and here's my justification. I think at this point the Niners have a 2-game lead for the division and they're looking ahead.
Okay.
And I feel like
it's not needed.
Like another kind of trap game. And Vegas is a team, the Raiders are a team that hang around until the last fucking minute. And it seems like the second to last week of the season, they pull out some heroics so that their last game of the season is meaningful and they need it for the playoffs. Whether or not they control their own destiny, that's one thing or another, but they seem to have these late season heroics. I think at this point, the 49ers are just kind of like eyeballing the playoffs. They're feeling a little bit of the kudos they're going to get, provided that they get to this point. And I think at this one, the 49ers drop to 10 and 6 because of the fact that they're looking ahead.
As much as I want to disagree with you, I'm not. I'm going to agree with you. The Raiders have Devontae Adams, and I know historically the 49ers have been able to keep him somewhat in check. I just think that they're a good team. We saw them one step away from the AFC Championship. Did they almost go to the AFC Championship? Or did they almost go to the AFC Divisional?
I think the Divisional.
They lost in the wild card. You're right.
Yeah.
They almost won that game too. They're a good team. I think they got better this offseason.
I think by nature of getting a new coach, they got better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they acquired Devontae Adams as well. I think
and that's so underrated. Honestly, Devontae Adams is a 49ers killer. I remember playing Seattle, and it's like, dude, Devontae Adams, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, and Alan Lazard. And it's like 49ers like, fuck it, we won't cover Devontae Adams. It's like, what are you guys doing, dude?
Yeah. I think they lose a close one, as much as I hate to say it, because I hate the Raiders. I don't actually hate the Raiders because I actually enjoy it when the Raiders are good. I think it's a better dynamic when they were here in Oakland.
Should I get NorCal Bill? Hey, NorCal Bill, basketball sucks. Just kidding.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay.
I'm a Kings fan. Kings basketball sucks.
Yeah. So we both have them dropping this one, right? Yep. Yeah, we do.
Yes. So I have them at 10 and 6 at this point.
10 and 6, wrapping it up against the Arizona Cardinals at home. This is TBD because they have to determine Saturday, Sunday, I think.
And I think that this is one where the 49ers are going to take. I think the 49ers come into this game 10 and 6. Arizona comes in at 9 and 7. And this is the game that decides the division, and that the 49ers ultimately pull it out at home with a home celebration, realizing, hey, we're the 3 seed in the playoffs. We're ready to go.
I love it, man. I can see it already. I think they win this one as well. I think they take care of business at home. Kyler Murray, Hopkins, they're just no match. Kingsbury, they're no match for Kyle Shanahan, Trey Lance, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. I just think they too many weapons for the 49ers for the Cardinals to match up with. And like you said, the division likely on the line, seeding on the line. I think they take care of business.
Absolutely.
So we both have them 12 and 5.
We both have them at 11 and 6, just a different way to get there for both of us.
Was it 11 and 6? I thought it was 12 and 5. No, you're right.
I have them 11 and 6.
You're right. Yeah.
I think you do too. Mm-hmm. But we roundabout both got them there that way.
Yep.
And I think that that's a realistic expectation. I don't care if it's Trey Lance or not. I think that, again, people think that Trey Lance has to be like the best quarterback ever. I think that it's just a situation where the 49ers just have to be, Trey Lance has to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo for the 49ers. And I don't think that that's an especially high bar to clear.
I wouldn't even say he has to be better, be as good.
Just equal. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe make a little
By
less
the way,
mistake.
I just want to point out, if you listen to, man, I think it was Grant was talking to somebody. No, I think it was Jack Hammer, and I think it was Jesse Naylor, friend of the show, Jesse Naylor, who's been on here before. But that Matt Lombardo tweet about the 49ers being less than thrilled or whatever, he walked that shit back so fast.
Did he really?
It turned out to be bullshit, just like every other thing. It's more noise.
Yeah.
So Trey Lance, still the heir apparent. I don't know why people make stuff up. It's really weird, but he got clicks. He got shouted out by Colin Cowherd. Cowherd did an entire segment on his show dedicated to that whole thing. So I guess it worked for him. But he definitely backtracked on that big time.
I think if you're a blue check mark, they're not even blue checks anymore. I don't even know why we say it. But if you're a check mark journalist, sports journalist on Twitter, you should have to have in your bio all of the takes you were right and wrong about, because somebody's stumbling across this guy's page, which I did against this guy at the draft. I'm like, I have no idea if he's authentic or not, but you need to show out there, because if not, you can't just keep tweeting this shit out with zero sources, zero verification, and then benefit from it.
And he came out and said, I was talking about last year at the beginning of the year. And it's just like, that doesn't even compute, dude. Like, you're just making stuff up.
It's not what he said.
And I agree with Paul Saunders, who says that we need to trust the facts that the 49ers don't leak and take a chill pill. That's what I'm saying. This team doesn't leak. So when somebody says, I have sources that say the 49ers are really this or that, it's bullshit. Don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, just read between the lines at the owners meeting with John and Kyle. They are telling you that Trey Lance is the starter. In not so many words. They don't have to say it out loud because they're trying to do right by Jimmy. They still want to prop up his value. They're telling you Trey Lance is the guy for 2022. Just believe them.
I mean, going back to last year, they said all they needed to say with, we're going to, Jimmy's the starter this year no matter what. And then the year ends and they're immediately talking about moving Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't talk about moving your starting quarterback that easily. It's clear the plan is to move on.
Exactly.
Joey, I love how everyone came to the conclusion his source was Scam Gorello.
Well, Scangarello was brought back specifically to deal with Jimmy. So I thought it was his source too, to be honest, if I'm being honest. I always felt that he was people within the organization, whatever. I always thought it was people that used to be in the organization that weren't necessarily Trey Lance guys, but they brought in Brian Greasy, who's been a big proponent of the mobile quarterback and the switch to that style of yes, be a great pocket passer. Yes, have those great passing skills. But if you have a quarterback that has athleticism on top of that, that's just going to put you over the top, right? And he's been a big proponent of that. And I think that the guys that they brought in, the Anthony Lynn's, again, Brian Greasy, those are guys that they're definitely thinking hey, man, these guys probably really like the raw talent that Trey Lance has, the athletic ability. Otherwise, why are you bringing him in, right? You're actively shopping Jimmy. That didn't change when they interviewed these guys. So you're bringing him in for not Jimmy, which means they're bringing him in for Trey Lance.
Yep.
So I don't think it was anybody within the organization. I think he was grasping at straws, and he just exposed himself as a fraud. So have fun with that.
And on that note, we're going to wrap things up here, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this 49ers 2022 schedule preview breakdown show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Friday evening, have a great weekend. We will be back here probably sometime during the week, if not next weekend for sure.
Sometime next week for sure.
Yeah. All right.
I think we got rookie camps coming up, so that's something we can talk about too. There's a lot of exciting rookies. We went over the rookies and the undrafted free agents for the 49ers in our last video together. So go and give that a shout out too, because that's some good stuff. We're going to update you on that, and we're going to be bringing you content we're about to get into the busy season, ladies and gentlemen. Let's buckle up and go for a ride.
All right, guys, on that note, hit like, hit subscribe. It really does help the channel. We appreciate. Drop a comment once the video ends if you're watching this. It helps the algorithm. And have a good weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you as always for joining us. We love having you here. Going live on a Friday is nice. I know a lot of you guys have weekend plans, so we can get you guys here and kick off your weekend right. That's what we want to do. So with that being said, thank you on behalf of Zach and myself. And until next time, go Niners.